Hey, everybody, I'm Brandy Kelly. I'm a superintendent on a mission to lead with hope and to help my fellow educators do the same. The Lead with Hope podcast is a bi weekly podcast that will inspire and empower you to lead with hope. Today, I'm excited to introduce Charle Peck. She is the co creator of Thriving School Community, a revolutionary program designed for schools to improve the mental health of staff and students. Welcome, Charle.
Hi, thanks for having me, Brandy.
So, Charle, I'm going to do something a little different today, and we're going to start off with a little game so everybody can get to know you a little better. Have you ever
Sure.
played this or that?
I have, yes.
You have. Okay. So, this or that, beach or mountains?
This.
How about e reader or physical book?
Do you want me to say this or that, or you want me to actually say the item? Which would
Say
you?
the item. Say
That's
the
what I
item.
thought because I was like, I shouldn't say. Definitely beach, and then definitely a book in my hand.
I'm the same. I love that physical book and I love to read. So I have a ton of books in my house. Um, this or that, do you prefer coffee or soda?
Coffee.
Coffee. What kind of coffee is your favorite?
I I'm just like generic kind. I don't have anything fancy.
Yeah, I like the foofy coffee. I like the lattes and all of that. But I try to be a little bit healthy with sugar free syrup. But as I think about that, that's probably not healthy either.
We're doing the best we can.
We are. We're doing the best we can. Okay, let's do one more.
Okay.
This or that. Ooh, when you were in education, angry parent, angry teacher.
Angry parent.
Angry parent, for sure. It's so hard whenever you're dealing with those relationships and you've created a bond in the school with that colleague, and then somebody gets upset. But I think today our conversation, you are going to shed some light on a lot of the mental health struggles that we're dealing with in schools. And so let's start off today, Charle, with you sharing with the listeners who you are, why you got into educator, and a little bit about your purpose and passion.
Wow, that's a big question to start with,
Is
Brandy. Okay, so I have been in education for over 20 years, K through 12, but I moved from the elementary level to high school pretty quickly, and I spent 18 years teaching high schoolers about psychology, anthropology, sociology, but I also got to teach them about mental health and wellness and child development. So,
Mhm.
what was so fascinating is teaching adolescents about their brain. So, not only about growth and development, but about how their brain is affecting their emotions and their behavior. And it was very eye opening. And so, I didn't understand why they had so many problems because we were all these adults surrounding them all the time who cared about them, but they were breaking down so frequently, and we got to talk about that. And so I decided to get my Master of Social Work degree so I could understand the structural issues and became a clinical social worker, a clinical therapist. And I worked with kids in crisis and their family. And I realized that we have got to do something about this problem on a massive scale. And so that's when I connected with Dr. Cameron Caswell and wrote this book because there had to be skills we could use in the therapeutic practice world that would easily cross over to the teaching world, which I knew because I had been in both. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm on a mission to do today. My passion is to better equip teachers. Because they're the frontline workers, to be better informants, which you will appreciate as a former social worker, and also to have just skills that make them more confident in responding more effectively to students, but also to manage their own mental health and wellness. So I've got a lot of great projects I've been doing around that, and I'm excited to roll that out on a massive scale.
Wow, that really resonates with me. Like you said, I was a former school social worker, and I think, once a school social worker, always a school social worker. That's where my heart is. That's what fuels my passion. And I think that what you're doing is truly amazing, especially now, post pandemic. Our teachers, our school leaders, they have such a hard job, and it's such an important job. It's a responsibility to give our students hope for their future. And
Yes.
I am so inspired by what you're doing in your work. And in terms of your background, teaching psychology to students, I mean, do you miss that? Do you miss that daily interaction with your students?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do so much. And because it was unique, like I got to actually teach in Canada, and the curriculum was very supportive of all of these issues, tackling these issues on a personal and family and societal level. So, if you think psychology, everybody's got a psychology class. This was even diving deeper into a personal connection, and we can reflect a lot. I miss it because I know that when I was teaching, for example, I was teaching teenagers who were dating about healthy versus unhealthy and abusive relationships. I was making a
Mhm.
true impact because one out of two relationships in that age group is unhealthy. And so I was equipping them. I had these great relationships with them. I'm still in touch with many students. And I absolutely miss it every day because part of this is running a business. I mean, I'm a keynote speaker, and so I sporadically talk to large groups, which is awesome, but there's in
Mhm.
between time. Or when I'm
Yeah.
running groups, there's in between time, and I had to become an entrepreneur. So I'm not working closely with them every day, and it
Mhm.
is bothering me. But there are other ways I am working with them now.
Absolutely. You're making a huge impact on a larger scale right now, which is impacting our students.
Mhm.
And as you know, our one of my premises for Lead with Hope is developing those relationships. And relationships are so powerful. And in a roundabout way, the way that we connected was through the Teach Better Network. And so
Right.
before we go into our next question, I have a little Teach Better promo to promote a network of like minded educators who can support and help you grow.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at teachbetter.com/podcasts, and we'll see you at the next episode.
All right, Charlie. So our next question is another big one. Leading with Hope is a system of self-efficacy. H stands for habits, O for optimistic outlook, P for passion, purpose, and perseverance, and E for excellence. So I am curious, which one of those constructs resonate most with you and why?
Oh my goodness, there's so much in there. They're really that's a big one. Hope is always something that resonates with me, okay, generally. Like, the hope piece generally speaks to me because if we can't give people hope, then they are going to step out of the system like they are doing. If we can't give people a system of efficacy with that H part, then people don't feel confident and they lose trust in the system. So I guess I'll start with the H one as habits. If we don't have reflective habits that are contributing to a confident, trustworthy system where we can send our kids to, or we can engage with our leaders and trust what they're doing with us and trust that they're valuing us. Those habits are going to start going from positive, influential ones that are helping us to harmful ones. And so I will land there because I know there's a lot to say, but I really I love that acronym. That's a great one, Brandy.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. And I love that you picked habits because today I wrote a blog post for my Lead with Hope website, and it was all about hope as a strategy. You know, not the ideal of hope, but rather that acronym, that system of self-efficacy. And James Clear wrote a book, Atomic Habits, and he talks about identity-based habits and
Mhm.
how if your habits are embedded in who you are, they are truly going to be more powerful. They're going to be more positive, and they're going to be able to help you along that growth journey, right? And so, identity based habits really can be a positive, powerful impact for both yourself and also in your service as you're leading other people and making that bigger impact in the world. And so I love that you picked habits. That's amazing. Not a lot of people pick that.
Mhm. I think it's important because that's the sacrifice we make when we do step out of what we love to do. For example, when I stepped out of the classroom, I felt responsible
Mhm.
to form a newer system in which I was working well in, that was working for me. And then I was trying to bring over those skills that I knew were working. But
Mhm.
the thing is when we're in chaos and crisis, Brandy, this is what I learned the most, is that those habits have to be reflexive. That's why habits are so important. And that
Mhm.
reflexive practice, even in the midst of chaos, is what's going to make the difference in order to stabilize the system. And so
Mhm.
that's part of what we do, is rewiring the brain. That's when I say we can do it. It's just a matter of reframing, which is what we do therapeutically, but we can also do that in the classroom and the buildings we work within.
Yeah, and reframing is so powerful. Just looking at a specific situation, and as we think about it, that situation, if we're viewing that as an obstacle instead of an opportunity, it changes the way that we deal with that issue. And so, reframing can be so powerful, and helping our kids learn how to reframe. And like you said, teaching our kids about the brain, so they understand that when they go to that limbic system and they're making decisions out of the emotional center of the brain instead of the rational center of the brain, their decisions aren't good. They're
Right.
not going to be as good.
Mm-mm. And it's not going to align to their values. And so, one of the things that we teach is that we need to make those reflective decisions instead of being mindless about it. That can
Mhm.
create guilt for us later. But we have to make snap decisions in education very, very often, as you know. But
Yes.
there's a framework we can use that's very simple, that we can again do reflexively even in the midst of crisis and chaos, but it will align. And so we rid ourselves of that guilt, that pain, and that shame. So it is important to do.
It is very important to do. And you kind of hit on something in that last response in terms of the complexities of our work. In education, we're dealing with human beings, and so there's so many complexities when you think about human beings in general.
Mhm.
But we usually find the power in those simple things, in those simple systems, in those simple habits. How can you inspire or help people in your work to reflect and to establish those simple habits in life?
It's about coming up with something that you will realistically do one step at a time, or one small new thing at a time. So we need to work from a strengths-based approach. Like, what are you doing that's already working well? And that can work for you independently or systemically. So when we look at systems, we work with mental health teams, we say what's already working, because we don't need any new overhaul. Nobody can do that. So what
Mhm.
is one new thing, one area of a deficit, either within yourself or within the system, that we can identify, and let's start from that one need and try to meet that one unmet need.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, start small. Um, the small things are the big things. That's for sure. It makes a big impact. And so, tell me, how do you lead with hope personally and professionally in your day to day life?
Well, I never give up hope, and that is it, because I have the confidence that I have in hope because I've lived it. I've been there. I have been that teacher who was overwhelmed, close to burnout, but faking it and trying
Mhm.
to get through because I felt like I had to be the person holding it together all of the time.
Right.
And so I believe in that inherent responsibility we adults have for kids, for their future. And so
Mhm.
I'm actually working on a new book with Joshua Stamper, which he's
Okay.
part of the
Yeah.
team. Yeah. And it's preliminary to the skills, because if we don't have that mindset to receive the
Mhm.
change and the reframe, then we're not going to get there and create those habits. We're not going to get there and make that change that we need to inspire hope.
Right.
So we keep it simple, but it's keeping it simple for people to easily digest, so
Mhm.
that there's buy-in, which is a piece of it, but always sending that consistent message that there absolutely is hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hope for the future, hope for our kids, hope for education, which
Yes.
I think we need now more than ever. And, talking about it from that mental health perspective, oh, you're speaking my language. I love it. And I cannot wait to read the book that you and Joshua are writing right now. So, going into our next question, I'm wondering, other than the book, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the projects you have going? How do you support teachers right now?
Well, that's a great question. I've been thinking about this for years. And finally, I have the availability of these products. One of the things I've just started is a teacher mental health support kind of virtual series that they can jump in and out of based on topics. It is skill building, it is professional development, but listen, it's about supporting teachers in a very small group environment. And
Mhm.
again, it's virtual, they can jump in and out because we don't want to overwhelm them. And some of the school districts we're working with keep saying, "Oh my goodness, can you just bring that just to our district?" I'm like, "Yes, we can do that." Another thing that I'm super excited about, Brandy, is the skills. Every time we go and teach the skills, the school counselors and the school social workers say, "Can we roll this out ourselves?" And I finally developed a plan where they can do that. And I'm
Mm,
working on some really neat tech things related to that,
yeah.
to enhance it with AI. But that's new. But what I'm super excited about is a retreat. So we're doing a wellness retreat. This is brand new, where not only can people come in for a 2.5 to 3 day
Mhm.
experience, that's a wellness retreat that's community based, small group, but
Mhm.
they learn the skills and they walk away certified to roll them out in their schools. So there's accessibility, there's long-term sustainability, and we build autonomy within that person going back to their school or their district.
Oh, that is fabulous. I mean, there's so much there, but that wellness retreat, I really want to hear more about that. And if you share some of that information with me, can teachers sign up to go to the wellness retreat?
Teachers can absolutely. So these are those rock star teachers that
Okay.
people flock to who
Yeah.
know how to build those relationships already, who are natural leaders in the school already.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
those teachers, school counselors, school social workers, some APs, principals, and actually some district leaders say, "I want in." So there will definitely be some district leaders there too.
Absolutely. That sounds powerful. And so with that, when are you hosting your first wellness retreat, Charlie?
That's the end of September. It's
End
coming
of
up.
September.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome
I'm
stuff.
excited. I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you did talk a little bit throughout this interview about, the educators and implementing some of these mental health practices, dealing with difficult behaviors, that kind of thing, and that's on the rise. I mean, we're dealing with that more now than ever. We, see the news articles where kids are aggressive. They're increasingly aggressive, and teachers have been hit or pushed or whatever. But um, oftentimes in my career, I've heard teachers say, "We didn't receive this training. We don't know what to do. We don't feel equipped." So, as my follow up question here, I'm wondering, how long do you think it takes for a teacher, if they go through your virtual training, to feel equipped and empowered to deal with these difficult situations?
Oh, immediately, Brandy. I mean, it's happening with every single training we do. Teachers leave that session
Mm,
feeling like they have hope and feeling like they have a skill or tool that's practical that they could just go back and infuse into everyday practice. Now, I'm not saying it's going to solve everybody's problems, but that confidence and that shift in mindset that, "Oh my goodness, I can do this," is there immediately. We hear it all the time. And this is for new teachers, seasoned teachers. I hear those 20-year teachers say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize
mm,
that." And these are people who have pushed back for years because they're sick of the fluff words. And I get it. I get it.
yeah.
But one of the things we've been doing, Brandy, is working with college programs for two
Mm,
teachers who are pre-service teachers who are just going into the system. And so we're equipping them so that they don't lose that hope. And they're hearing the teachers who are already there with that negativity. And
yeah.
so we want to equip them so we have long-term sustainability.
Yeah, so you're establishing the habits, the mindset, providing that hope that I love so much. So I
Mhm.
appreciate all the work that you're doing. I am looking forward to the new things that you have rolling out. But for those listeners today that know that they need to get in contact with you, how do they get in touch with you, Charlie?
Well, the best thing they can do is just go to the website, thrivingeducator.org. You can absolutely see everything we do there. There's a training guide, like a training catalog you can actually just download. You can see everything we can do to support you. But you can also email me. You can see all the professional development training we do there. And you'll get prompted to get a school mental health audit. So once
Mhm.
you go to thrivingeducator.org, it's a totally free complimentary, guide we want to give to mental health teams so that they can see what their strengths already are and where their deficits are so they can just lead to that first need. And I lead them there in that document. So that'll pop up on our website. But you could just email me too. So Charle, Charle, at thrivingeducator.org.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think Charle is the real deal. I think it is so essential to learn more about how our brain works, the mental health. She talks about the strength-based perspective rather than that medical model. Many of us are conditioned to think about things from that medical model, which is a deficit. And I love the strengths-based perspective because there is always hope, Charle. So thank you for coming on today. And I look forward to following you, getting to know you better, and changing the world by giving them hope.
Thank you so much. And likewise, Brandy, you're doing incredible work. Thank you for that.
Thank you.